taking three.
Going for the St. Louis now.
Oh no!
Son of a bitch.
You get your two?
Yeah. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thotgor here, of course. First, let me explain the past few days why there hasn't been videos. So, a few months ago, got a little crack in my molar, one of my molars, right? And I'm not very thrilled about going to the dentist, so it was no pain, didn't go to the dentist. Anyway, months pass and it got infected. That was, I think, Tuesday night was when it just insane pain. So I didn't sleep at all Tuesday night, went to the dentist on Wednesday, fixed it up, but you know, the antibiotics and stuff had to work their magic, so didn't sleep Wednesday, and which results in no video on Wednesday, and then Thursday basically just slept all day. Or wait, Friday? I don't even know. I just basically slept. Was in pain for 2 straight days and then slept for a day, so I guess that's 3 days. But anyway, that is why there was no video. So I do apologize. Back to normal though, feeling great, so everything's alright. Anyway, getting into the video. Now this is going to be the first video of a new series, so I wanted to get this new series out earlier this week actually, but you know, things happen. So first video of the new series. We're going to call this new series Epic Comebacks, right? Because we've all had those battles where you're battling it out and things are just going so utterly wrong. You don't understand, or you don't know why or how your team is just dying in droves. You know, there's no chance of getting victory, and then suddenly, somehow, the remainder of your team pulls it together and you get victory, right? So that's what we're going to look at in this series. In this series as well, given that these battles aren't very, well, at least for me, they don't happen very often. I mean, if you guys have your own replays, then yeah, definitely send them in. I want to do it weekly, but I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to have the content to do it weekly. I went through about maybe 150 recordings that I had, and I found 2 out of that 150 that were actually appropriate for this series. So I'm going to try and get these up as they pop up, and you know, if you guys have them as well, definitely send in those replays. I want to see them and you know, get them up in the channel. So, you can see that we are on North, right, in the Admiral Hipper, and I'm grouped up with Death Scythe today. Death Scythe, a great player here in the clan. We were just doing nothing that night, so figured let's get some divisions going, and he's in his turpits. So we are going to go off to A. I mean, we spawned over here, right, we're in the division, so you kind of always spawn in this area. So we figured, let's go A. We've got a destroyer here off to the port side, right, he's going to help us, and we'll take A and see what happens. Now, excuse me, looking at the rest of the minimap, you can see that my allies have, or rather my team, right, we have kind of divided up here. So yeah, we have 2 ships over there at B, we've got the rest of our ships at C, but some of the ships are even going to D. So this didn't look too great right from the beginning, right? We're kind of, Death Scythe and I are kind of talking about this, looking at it and saying, well, the majority of the enemy ships do seem to be over here at A, so yeah, alright, we'll continue over at A. At least we'll see what happens, right? Give it a bit more time. So putting some shots off into an Atlanta while I'm waiting to see what happens here. We can see that there's a Tirpitz in the background. We've got a destroyer running out in front of us. It's a Mitsuki, I believe. And the rest of the enemy ships have yet to come around the cover of this mountain here, so can't really get any shots into these guys. So I'm still strafing around, still, you know, trying to do what I can with Death Scythe here and our destroyer as well, trying to take out as whatever enemies as we can. Let the team, because the team, you know, we do have quite a few ships on our team over there at D and C, so let them still work and see what happens. We've already lost a cruiser, so that is not so great. Cruisers are pretty important, and out pops this Thotgor, this enemy Thotgor. So he was going really slow, right? Obviously he was trying to avoid those torpedoes, and this is just a terrible coincidence for this guy. So immediately just get some quick salvos into him from the aft and from the aft and bow guns, and a few citadels there as well, and managed to take him out. Fantastic. Off in the distance we do see an Omaha who has rammed into the enemy Tirpitz, so he was at a stop, but my shots just weren't able to get in there quick enough to actually do anything and take advantage of that. You can see I'm still lining up on him here. Is it an Omaha? No, it's a York. Yeah, sorry about that. But anyway, trying to get the York gone. Now I'm sort of focused on them. We're still kind of looking. I mean, the destroyer that we had with us is still in there taking A. Unfortunately, Death Scythe is gone at this point in time. We do have a number of enemy battleships over here. We can see them now. The allies that I had over at D have lots of D. We lost another cruiser in the process, and we are taking B, but we're not taking C, so things aren't looking so great. We do kind of have to stay at A if we want to be able to have some sort of cap parity. And if we look at the points overall, the points aren't great either. A few more kills here and we're going to be below 100 points. So things are getting a little real, a little fast. So need to start taking this into consideration and playing safe, really safe. I mean, you'll notice so far I haven't taken any damage at all. And it's not because I've been hiding in the back avoiding things. You guys can see, I'm shooting it up. It's just I am staying in the back, but I am putting in effective fire from my range that I have on the hipper here. Not looking to get in close. Don't want to do that, not at this point in time anyway. Lining up on the Oba, you can see my allies did really worked over that Oba, so if I can get a last few shots into him, might be able to finish him off, and at the very least that'll give us some more points here, right? Because we're still kind of able to catch up in points, especially now that we've taken out the Oba. One of my allies managed to finish him off, so that is excellent. Still circling in and around. You can see basically all I've done over here at A is driven or sailed in basic circle or an oval, right? And every time that I come over here to the east, I'm always sheltered by the mountain here, because this way I don't want to have the enemies firing at me while I'm exposing broadsides and maneuvering over here a little more than I would be when I'm out and exposed, right? So that's the plan and that's the strategy, but it also, taking a look at the situation here, I mean, the destroyer is in A, he's capping it. The enemy's ships that were at A are in a retreat basically, so now is an excellent time for me to turn and use the flexibility of the cruiser, right? Use the speed, maneuverability, and get myself to another position on the map where I can help my allies potentially take another point. We do have B, we've got B, but it is, there's an enemy battleship kind of eyeing it right there. We can see him. We don't have C and we don't have D. A lot of my ships, my allied ships, well, 4 of them, and I guess you can say 4 of the enemy ships, they have sunk, right? So we're not able to count on these people anymore, obviously, and that kind of affects us, especially when we are in this situation that we're in, where the team disperses a lot at the beginning. As soon as you start losing ships, it's actually, you really notice it really quickly. We just lost another ship and another ship, like 2 in a row right there, right? So that's not great. We're down to 254 points. The enemy is at 425. So yeah, we gotta try and get some enemy ships gone here. We did manage to finally take A, so now at least we're at cap parity. But because we're in this position of, less points than the enemy, we can't just stay at this cap parity. We have to either take another cap or start killing enemy ships. Ideally, we would be doing both. So we still have the York off in the distance that I was shooting at earlier. I managed to get a critical hit on him, so that's not too bad, but I was, would have rathered some citadels. Still using cover here as best I can and hoping that my shots are going to be able to clear the mountains, but they're not. I just wasn't, I'm too close to the mountain right now. And an enemy battleship is still over there. Now, I was most concerned about the enemy battleship, right? Even though it's a New Mexico and I'm an inhipper, right, in terms of tiering, doesn't mean that New Mexico can't just look at me and I'm dead. If he gets a lucky shot into my broadside and I'm not paying attention, it is a real possibility. So I'm using the mountains right now to shelter me from that New Mexico, while still being aware that there are enemy ships in and around B, like the York that we saw earlier. So still aware of that and want to try and defend B as best I can without exposing myself to a whole lot of damage, because especially at this point in time of the battle, where we've lost so many of our allied ships, we really need to pay attention and play safe so that we can stay alive and make the difference in the end game, because it's going to come down to end game now, you know it. especially in this type of battle where we are just down so much. You know, it's all about the end game at this point in time. The York pops out from cover, so I immediately start engaging him. I do have armor piercing loaded. He's got high explosive loaded, so I managed to put out the fire that he was set on me for that salvo. And we're going to try and close the range on this York, maybe get some torpedoes on him, but we also need to be very aware that he has torpedoes, right? The York does have torpedoes on her. So I do have my acoustic sonar ability popped. You can see I'm turning, lining up my torpedoes now that the York is within my torp range, and we're going to try and dart out of B and let the torpedoes do the work, right? I am taking a bit of damage here, but it's okay because I played it so safe at the beginning of the game that I'm able to take these hits, right? I can afford to take these hits. So the York is not necessarily a stupid player. He does see my torpedoes coming in and he's able to avoid them. So I'm going to have to turn and we're going to have to launch on the starboard side now. No other way around it. We got to get these torpedoes off and do something about this York, even though it's looking pretty good, right? Like, he's down to half health. I'm, you know, down to about half health right now, but I can't take too many more hits, or at least I can't continue to duke it out with this guy and have enough hit points remaining so that I can go and duke it out with some more enemy ships. So need to keep this in mind. The York, in the meantime, launched his other torpedoes, right? I can see them coming thanks to the acoustic sonar ability. I'm turning now, giving him a broadside, but still trying to limit it and trying to angle my ship while keeping in mind the torpedoes. I don't want to run into these torpedoes, right? That would be tragic. Switching over to high explosive. He's bow on to me at this point, Tom. I'm not going to get any citadels in him, so I figured that this was the best move. But here we go. He starts giving me broadsides now, so I'm going to line up some more torpedoes. When we go back, we're going to fire off high explosive. There it goes. And it does a bit of damage, right? Now, finally, I have an ally here with me as well who put some shots into the York, does some more damage, and finally, we're able to take out the York. It was a little prolonged. Didn't die as quick as I wanted him to, but at least he's dead. And I still have you know, a little under half health, so that is not too bad. We see the turrets off in the distance, so I'm firing high explosive at this guy. He's on about half health, hoping to set a fire, hoping to get this guy gone again, right? The enemies are at, you know, over 650 points, and we are still at the 430 mark. We haven't managed to do a whole lot other than take out that York. So we still need to take out a lot more enemies here if we want to have any chance at all of calling this one a victory. Putting more shots into the turrets, continuing just to put shots into him, right? I want to set this guy on fire, make him burn, and hopefully he won't be able to repair right away. So there we go, there's a fire. The fire continues to burn, so maybe his repair is on cooldown, or maybe he was just slow to hit it. Not 100% sure, but at least we managed to set the fire. Those shots went in as well and managed to get the reset on A, which is fantastic because that's where the enemies are pushing now. They're trying to take A. If they take A, we are definitely going to lose this battle unless, you know, I quickly swing over to C and take C, and that's exactly what I'm going to have to do right now. So there's the enemy battleship, the New Mexico. I believe that was the battleship that was sort of eyeing me down when I was in B. So we're going to try and get this guy on fire as well, do what we can to get some damage done. You can see that I'm turning. I wasn't willing to go all the way out there into the open ocean outside of this cover here and just expose myself like that. So that kind of attributes to why I slowed down, you know, tried not to ground myself obviously as well. But then I'm looking, right, and noticing that these enemy ships aren't really firing at me. I really do need to get over to B, so if I can just finish off this New Mexico, he's on fire now, another few salvos and I should be able to get him, then I can get myself over to C, sorry, and start capping C. So that is going to be pretty great if I can pull it off. The enemy New Mexico, there we go, fantastic, he's gone. We don't need to worry about him anymore. And now that the enemy New Mexico is gone, we can focus on getting ourselves over to C and taking C, right? The enemies weren't able to actually take A, so that's good. But we still have quite a difference in points here, so we're going to have to get ourselves over to B and take this point and at least break this cap parity, right? Give ourselves the advantage. As well, we need to keep in mind, look at the mini-map again, right? I only have 4 allied ships remaining. Sure, the enemies only have 4 as well. We're pretty spread out, right? So it's easy for an enemy just to come in and start capping a point without us realizing it. In fact, you can see that an enemy destroyer, well, we don't really see him on the minimap because he's hidden, but we know that the enemy destroyer is now in A, capping A. So need to get ourselves over to C here and take this point. In addition to this, I mean, once we take C, we then need to move to D, because keeping the whole thing in mind that there's very few allied ships remaining, we're not going to be able to protect each point. The enemies, might take A, then move to B, so I need to take C and D. The idea is to keep cap parity, maybe be able to actually break cap parity. I was hoping we were going to do it, but the enemies went in there and took A, couldn't do it. And then suddenly one of my allies takes out that enemy destroyer. Yes, enemy destroyer didn't actually manage to cap A. It was very, very close, so fantastic. We do have A. I'm capping B now, so if we can just keep this point, or rather take this point, we will be golden. Turns out it wasn't an enemy destroyer over there at A, but there's the enemy destroyer there. He's on really low health, battling it out with one of my battleships. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to try and save this Fuso. I really don't want the Fuso to die, and if I could just take out the destroyer, that'd be all great. Turns out allied Fuso didn't need my help at all. Enemy destroyer is gone. Fantastic. We almost capped C at this point, only 2 enemy ships remaining, so fantastic. In terms of actual points though, the enemy is still leading just because they had the the lead in killing our ships for so long and in the points for so long. Finally we were able to break the whole cap parity thing, right? We have 3 cap points, we've just taken the lead in points as well, and the enemies only have 2 ships remaining, so fantastic. And we can see that one of their battleships is completely out of position, right? He's way back there to the northeast. He's not going to be able to do anything other than maybe some long range fire in on myself or the Fuso, but that's not too bad. He won't, at least this player won't be able to come in and take a point. All we have to worry about is the 1 battleship remaining over at A. If that battleship is able to kill a few of my allies, maybe take the point, then that's just going to prolong this battle a little longer, but we should be able to still win this, right? I'm quickly moving over here to D. I'm not going to sit around and try and fire off at that enemy battleship way off in the distance. He made his choice. I'm going to let him live with it. I'm going to get in here to D and start capping this point immediately. Do need to keep the North Carolina in mind though, because I am within his range, right? So he will be able to fire at me if he spots me once I'm start capping D. But he is fairly preoccupied with the allied Fuso that I had, so that kind of works to my advantage here in that he doesn't necessarily focus on me over here. Any shots he does take at me are just hasty, hopefully I hit this player and reset the cap type thing. So that is pretty great. Quickly we are gaining the lead, right, because we managed to break that cap parity. I'm even managing to take D now, so if we can get all 4 points, we're gonna win this. I mean, there's a little over 3.5 minutes left, or a little under 3.5 minutes to the battle left, I should say, but still, if we could manage to win, that would be phenomenal, because this really was an epic turnaround, right? One of those an epic comeback, one of those battles where it just didn't look like this was going to happen at all. Everything basically looked like it was going to be over. We weren't going to be able to survive this at all, but luckily myself and my teammates were able to pull this one together, right? There was a few of us here at the end that really just got it together, managed to keep the points and just push the enemies back, right? Killing enemy ships while we were doing it, but just keeping the enemies at bay. We can see that my allies just took out the enemy battleship over there at A, so we don't have to worry about him anymore. We're at 973 points and going up, just the enemy North Carolina over here now, and then we can call it victory. What a game, what a turnaround. Oh man. And you can see too, right, the players in chat commenting, especially on the enemy team, what a comeback that was, and it really, really was. So that, is what this series is going to be focusing on in these episodes. So you can see it didn't work out too bad for me at all. I got a bunch of credits and experience. I believe that this was during the 3 times weekend, so it was a little while ago. Like I said, I had a number of replays to go through. But but I went through them. Top of the team overall, so I managed a bit of damage here in that little battle as well, which isn't too bad at all. Spread it out too, right? Fires, HP, or fires, HE, and AP damage. Moving over to credits and XP, yeah, the 3 times, so that explains the 11,000 experience, right? Anyway, that is today's video. Hopefully you guys did enjoy it, and hopefully you guys are going to enjoy the new series. I'm excited for our contest here to come to an end, right? The most experience earned in a tier 5 ship. Can't wait to give you guys those prizes, you know, once the contest is over, and I'm hoping that you guys are having a good time with it as well. Leave any comments you have for me as always in the video comment section below. Love reading those and responding back to them. Hit the old like button if you did like today's video. Hit subscribe if you were not a subscriber, and as always, I do hope you enjoy the rest of your day.